I'm Chris from Airwindows, and hey, you can do something I'm going to show you in a moment. Check this out. This is Console8. You might notice that I've got this little meter thing going on in here, and it's showing graphics, which is part of my monitoring. This is stuff that I've been working on for a while, and it's still kind of in the works. But what I have for you today is Console8Hype. And it is the original version of Console8 before I improved the treble softening. And it does the funniest thing. It's like it does a whole different kind of treble softening, arguably more effective, but also letting through a sparkliness that I didn't think suited Console8 very well. So here's what we got. And you can see what that looks like on the meter, and you heard what it sounded like. Now let's just hold down Shift and start rapidly switching a whole bunch of these guys over. Oh, hang on. Wasn't able to reach that one. We're switching all these guys around, and then there's the bus. Here is the newer one. Now, as you can see, that's a very different approach, and they're both like really loud and they're both Console8, but there is this brightness and glitteriness, and one thing that you can see in the actual metering is that it's all coming through as like greens and cyans. And I'll hold down Shift and quickly go through and swap all these other guys back. This one I have to scroll up a little bit in order to be able to get at it. And we're going back to original Console8 for all of this. And with this one, the metering is doing more in the way of those red spikes. Those are mid-range dynamic punches. Whole thing is a little gutsier, a little punchier, and that's why I went with it as the base Console8 design. It's the thing where, like, if we have that going, it's kind of thick and punchy. It's got some serious meat and aggression to it. But then if we switch back over to Console8Hype, and you can see what I'm doing here is swapping all of the Console8 in with Console8 sub hype in their place. And what we'll have here is a sort of brighter, sparklier approach that doesn't have quite the same amount of raw punch to it. There you have it. This was the original Console 8 design. The reason this didn't stick is because when I threw a lot of highs at it, it acted kind of weird. And that's what you're hearing. The sparkliness is not necessarily natural. It's a funny thing that's happening to the sound. But one thing that we can do is fool around, and for instance, we might want to have the 2-bus be regular console, and some of, like, for instance, here's the bass using regular console, and then we'll also make the guitars be regular console, but the drums will still remain hype. And these are keyboards. They can also be hype. And I believe that the first, no, that's the reverb. So what we'll do is we'll have the reverb, the deep verb, be regular console 8, and the ambience be hype. And the bass and drums can be regular console, but the guitars, which is a submix, the guitars themselves are not going through hype, but their submix is, and the synths are. And when we do that, we have the drums a little hypier, the bass a little beefier, guitars also, but their submix has hype on it, and the main mix does not. And this is what you can do with Console8Hype, which is 3 plugins. I can actually click on these and show you. Here's channel hype, here's channel in. As you can see, you can tell that they're both should be swapped in and out for each other because they look the same. They go into the in slot because they don't have the fader. The one with the fader stays where it is. The out plugin stays where it is. But consider this to be a way in which your channel in or sub in or bus in plugin that's part of the console system, they can be swapped out, and everything else about the filtering in the system remains the same. But regular console, with the one that says channel in or sub in or bus in, is designed for that sort of solid, heavy, beefy analog type sound. And you can swap in hype if you wanted to have what you might call a circuit that's a little tizzier and brighter and sparklier. And you can do it on every single stage, which will make the whole thing kind of glitter with excess treble energy. And this is why I didn't leave it as part of the design for the main thing. You can swap that in any stage that you want. And one of the neat things about this is typical for Airwindows stuff in that I put out a dedicated plugin specifically called Hype, which is just this all by itself. But it was the first attempt at making Console 8 work. And again, the way that it works, if you have it on everything, it sounds too glittery, and I had to fix it. But, I mean, I'm Chris from Airwindows, so I let you have it anyway. And releasing it as Console8Hype as something where you could replace all the console in plugs with this, but you can also put it just on one spot, just on a couple of spots, just on particular instruments where you think they need to have more of that glitter, like a vocal or something. And it will do, it's the same basic concept of processing. So by the same token, it will also react weirdly to high frequency test tones and stuff, because that's just how that rolls. But it's an entirely different approach, and it has the same thing going on where if you try to throw a dry wet on it or something like that, it will just break. it does weird things. It doesn't react predictably to stuff that you would think was normal, like blending it with dry or whatever. But taken all by itself, now you have an extra color option in a Console 8 mix that is a similar process to the treble softening that the main Console 8 got, but this is the one that got away. This is the one where the final result was very exciting, but far too weird to use as the main thing. And naturally, I'm letting you have it anyway. I hope you like Console8Hype. One of the neat things about it is, if this sounds complicated to you, that's just kind of the cost of entry, because it's free. It's Patreon supported, so you don't have to pay for this. But you'll need to learn how to use it. And if you find a special magical way of doing this, you could probably tell people, oh, hey, I'm using Airwindows Console 8. And they wouldn't necessarily be able to do what you do because it might be just a little bit too complicated. Or they might not know that you're using Console8Hype in particular places and not in others. You can use it in the beginning of the channels, or the beginning of submixes, or the beginning of the 2-bus, or any combination of those things. It's just you got to use hype or in, one or the other. I hope you like it. I'm going through some interesting times right now in that this plugin is coming out, but if you have any trouble with the website, you should go and download the MediaFire links, which I will include. I will include a MediaFire link. And that is because Russian hackers are attacking my site. I can't believe I'm saying this. It is apparently true. People were having a lot of trouble connecting. I didn't have any trouble connecting. The site seems to be fine. All of my security stuff is still working. My DNS records are still working, but it looks very much to me as if somebody, and looking at those security records is why I say what I said, somebody seems to be interfering with maybe, I don't know, cache DNS records elsewhere. So call it a man-in-the-middle attack. So if you're going to the Airwindows website and it's making you download weird files, don't use them or do anything with them. Delete them and use the MediaFire link, which I will make available. Good luck sabotaging MediaFire. I don't know why anybody would be choosing to do this to me. You would think that the wonderful Russian dub techno people who have nothing to do with activities in the current day. There's a wonderful documentary that you can watch called Kvadrat that has great music, and I'm quite fond of those artists and the stuff that they do, and it doesn't have anything to do with what's going on with their politics or what their country's doing. You'd think that somebody would care about the well-being of those people and let them have access to Airwindows stuff as I continue to progress this, but whatever. If you got to get caught in the middle of the war, this is one of the more harmless ways of doing it. So if you can't reach my website, it's being attacked. I am very sorry. I have done everything I can as far as trying to make sure that the actual site is fine, but if you're not able to reach it, that's another story. Anywho, welcome to 2022. I hope you enjoy adding the blessing of hype to Console 8. Because this is the thing that it was missing. This was, again, the one that got away, and now you have it. The effect that was too wild to put in the main thing. And if you're paying attention to that, rather than just only hearing about the first release, if you're still tuned in, then this is your chance to sort of get a leg up and be doing something a little special that maybe not everybody has heard about. Or you can bump the thread having to do with Airwindows 8 hype, and then everybody will hear about it. I don't know, up to you. Anyways, I believe I'm going to be getting a lot of use out of this in various ways, and I hope you do too. And thank you very much. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.